We've all heard about the Bitcoin 4-year cycle, right? Who hasn't heard about that? But it's not only Bitcoin that moves in these larger cycles. If we zoom in on the Bitcoin price action, we can also see that Bitcoin is moving in shorter cycles within a bigger cycle, and one of the most outstanding cycles that we are seeing in the shorter term time frame is the 60-day cycle, guys. And in today's video I'm going to exactly show you what the 60-day cycle is on Bitcoin and how you can use this cycle basically to predict the Bitcoin price, or to make profitable trades, or to make better trading decisions. And guys, I can tell you already right now, almost nobody is using this cycle count on Bitcoin, and this will give you a huge edge against other traders and give you better conviction in when to enter or when to exit the trade. So guys, first of all, let me show you some examples of what are a 60-day cycle in Bitcoin. And let's start, for example, in 2017 right here with the bull market, which was a beautiful bull market. And we are just going to have a look at these lows, and I'm going to use a nice tool right here, and that is the date tool, the date range right here. And we can just measure from certain lows to certain lows. So we have right here low on the 13th of January, and we have here a low on the 24th of March. And as you can see, this was actually 70 days. So it's not a 60-day cycle, it's the 70-day cycle, this specific one. But let's look at the next one. We take from this one, we take 60 days, 60 days. Then you see we actually form another low. We are way higher, but still that low came at the 60-day cycle low, roughly. Then we take another 60 days later. Right here, we get it a little bit early on day 50. We get that other low. And then when we take from that low, we do another, roughly almost exactly 60 days later, we have the next cycle low from the 60-day cycle. Then we take another 60 days right here. Well, it's also exactly 60 days. We have another low. Then we go to the next one and we do it like this. We see that, okay, this one was 40, whereas 60 days is here. So that was right. We did got a low during like 63, 62, something like that. So it's a little bit a rough estimate, but you gotta admit, guys, this is crazy powerful. But let's not stop here. Let's take from that the next 60-day cycle low. Here we also got a low, as you can see right here. We can take another one. Let's take it from this low. Let's look at like this. This one was 80 days. This one was also roughly 60 days. Also a low. Then we get a small bounce. But yeah, it also really depends. And that is important to note right here. You got to know in the macro perspective where we are, right? Are we in a full-blown bull market? Or are we in a bear market? Because you don't want to long the 60-day cycle lows in a bear market, not necessarily. And guys, let's have a look at some more recent price action right here. We have here a nice 60-day cycle, a little bit longer, 70 days. If we take that one to the next low, was also a little bit longer. That was 1.5 60-day cycle, so that was 96 days roughly. And then to the next low right here was again roughly 60 days. So guys, this is just a rough estimate which shows you what the waves are doing in the Bitcoin price. And the way that you can use this as your advantage in trading Bitcoin is expecting a low to occur around the 60-day cycle mark. And that can be a little bit early, that can be 5 days later, but how can you basically confirm a cycle low? Well, I'm going to show you exactly, and we are going to do that with a simple moving average. And that simple moving average is a 10-day moving average. And what we can do right here, guys, is the following. So we remove the drawings, and we have, for example, right here, we have a 60-day cycle, right? We have a 60-day cycle, but we are trading below the 10-day moving average. What we then do is we wait until we form a more clear low. So this was actually quite a clear low because it was a huge liquidation event. A lot of traders got liquidated right here. A lot of people were long. And then we basically wait until the price close back above the 10-day moving average. So we want to have a time span of roughly 60 days. Then we want to have a close back above the 10-day moving average. So right here we have here 60 days where we formed that low. We have a close above the 10-day moving average. We got a small pump to the upside. We got back below it, which was basically an invalidation, break above, break below. But then the next time we break above this one, we actually get that confirmation, and then Bitcoin is just going into a nice rally, eventually topping out and rolling over until the next 60-day cycle low right here, because from this low to that low is roughly 63 days, right? Then we go to the next one. We take this low, we go 60 days in the future right here. And then you can already see, okay, 60 days, we formed the low a little bit, probably a little bit earlier, and the low was higher than the previous 60-day cycle low. Then we get a nice candle above the 10-day moving average. That is the moment, based on time, that you actually can long Bitcoin, because we met the criteria of roughly passing a time frame of 2 months, 60 days, and we break, after breaking below the 10-day moving average, we break back above this level. And you can track these Bitcoin cycles over on willportal.com. You go right here to data, you click on Bitcoin cycles, and there you can basically see exactly on which day Bitcoin is trading right now in that 60-day cycle. You can also see how far we actually are in that regular 4-year cycle. And another theory that we are watching is the 16-year cycle, which means that the last 4-year cycle of that bigger 16-year cycle is slightly different. I made a lot of separate videos about that. If you want to know more about that, make sure to watch that. But we can also see how far we are in that 16-year cycle. So this is just a very unique way at analyzing the markets, because most people, they basically only analyze the price. Not a lot of people are analyzing time as well. And there have been a lot of professional traders in the past that have been putting the attention on how important time actually is in your analysis. And what you also can do, something to consider, is that you use this as one of the indicators in your baskets of indicators. So maybe you like derivatives exchange data like we are using a lot right here on the channel. For example, the funding rates or the premium index or the take buy sell ratio. And you combine all of these metrics with what we are seeing with the 60-day cycle. So for example, if we bring out the funding rates right here, from Bitcoin, let me get rid of that March 2020, so we can see it a little bit better. Then we can see, for example, this 60-day cycle low was for me a pretty clear long for that bull market back in 2021. And why was that? Well, first of all, we had this massive capitulation low, massive sell-off right here. You can see it in this wick. Also, funding went completely negative while we were actually still in a bull market. So we had quite a bit of a correction. Then it took 60 days for Bitcoin to consolidate sideways. But while we consolidating sideways, you can see that the funding rate was definitely super negative, which means that a lot of people here were still kind of in disbelief and they were expecting Bitcoin to drop lower. Well, for me, it was actually the opposite back then, because what I'm seeing right here is I'm seeing a low exactly on the 60-day cycle mark. Then I'm seeing 60 days later another low. This is a lower low in the price, but we are forming a higher low in the relative strength index. Very interesting. And we got the majority of the market participants, they are shorting Bitcoin. Then we have another couple of things that we could look at, something that I've shared in my different video on how to determine certain breakouts. We had a very clear declining resistance over on the relative strength index. That one was already since January that year, and we broke out in July of that year. So that was a multi-month declining resistance. And if you would then combine all of these metrics, so we have big correction, right? Big flush, big liquidation flush, a lot of open interest, moved away from the markets. We have a low. Then we have a declining resistance on the relative strength index. 60 days later, we formed that other low, that lower low. which is a higher low in the relative strength index. We got the sentiment of the market very bearish because the majority of the people are shorting. But then after reaching that 60-day cycle mark, we break above that 10-day moving average. That is the moment that you could say like, okay, based on these simple metrics, and then we are using time because Bitcoin always needs time to prepare for a certain direction. It needs time, right? So when we have a low, sometimes you need a lot of time in order to consolidate for the next big move, right? So this was time, 60 days that it took. We had a bullish divergence, which means that the momentum in the background was actually leaning more towards the bullish side. In the macro perspective, we were still in a bull market and we had negative funding. And then after completing that 60-day cycle low, breaking above the 10-day moving average, that was the that is actually an example right here where you almost can have an 80 to 90% profit ratio, where you can be very certain of your trade. And yes, this looks extremely good. We had exactly the same thing right here, guys, at the bear market low. Super powerful right here. As you can see, if we zoom in, we had that 60-day cycle low right here coming in. Then 60 days later right here, you can see that the price was actually going up, and that is something that we not often see. But when the price is trending up around that 60-day mark, it's actually pretty bullish. And what we can see here is that we also have nice structure. We have a kind of a W formation. We had negative funding. We had the relative strength index coming up, which means that the momentum is boiling up in the background. Even though it's not a bullish divergence, the relative strength index is going in an uptrend right here. Then we also had, of course, negative funding, which basically means that majority of the traders right here were basically expecting Bitcoin to see lower levels. And that is very important in this analysis, because when the majority is bearish, it means that the majority is not positioned in Bitcoin, which means that there's a lot of money on the sidelines. So when Bitcoin then goes up, the majority, they panic, they freak out, and they want to go back into the markets, driving the price only up. That's why when more people are short, it's actually quite bullish for Bitcoin. But this is a similar example where we have also a nice structure, kind of W formation right here on ascending triangle. We're at the 60-day cycle low right here. We trade above the 10-day moving average, negative funding rates, relative strength index going up. Definitely a perfect cocktail for a long position. So guys, I hope it's clear right now what the 60-day cycle on Bitcoin is and how you can use that for your trading. If you have any questions, make sure to drop them in the comment section down below, and I will try to answer them as soon as possible. And if you want to learn how to create a passive income using cryptocurrency exchanges like Bybit, using trading bots on these exchanges, I made a lot of different tutorials, guys, where I'm explaining to you exactly how you can set up trading bots using grids, using futures martingale, or how you can connect your webhook from TradingView into your Bybit account. So definitely make sure to check out all of those tutorials so you can create your own passive income during this bull market. Then guys, if you are still looking for an exchange to trade Bitcoin on, I'm recommending 3 exchanges down below this video. And if you join with the specific affiliate link down below this video, you can get some advantages like a big deposit bonus or access to Will Alerts, which is a private Telegram channel where you can receive extra information on the cryptocurrency markets, like when to buy or sell Bitcoin or which altcoins to buy, what a nice setup. So definitely check that out if you are interested in that. I got all the information down below in the description. Then guys, I want to thank you all for watching this video. If you like this video, make sure to leave a thumbs up. Very much appreciated. I want to wish every single one of you a beautiful day today, and I hope to see every single one of you in the next video.